It is July 7th at 9:45 in the morning. I'm sitting with Don Roper in the boardroom at the Diefenbunker. So just to get started, while you were working at the bunker, could you talk a little bit about what your job was?
My job here, well, I had, actually I was here three different occasions. So actually I had three different jobs. When I first came in 1965, I was a young technician looking after the telephone systems in the building. And I did that for 5 years. And then I left here, and my next tour here was in 1976. I came back as a sergeant, and we had quite a technical section in here at the time, so I had a small section we would look after. And then I left there in 1978 again, and I came back in 1984 for 2 more years. So I had a total of 10 years all together. And the last time I come back, I was a master ward officer, and I left here as a chief, so I had quite a crew to look after.
And what were your first thoughts when you were posted to the bunker?
Quite happy, because in 1965 I was in the field and working with actually one line troop here in the valley, and we were still using actually Second World War equipment and whatnot. Came back into here, and I got transferred into here. Everything was brand new, all brand new. Everything was brand new. So it was really, really enjoyable. Plus, it was a nice place to work. And I should say the first 18 months I was transferred in here, I was single at that time, of course, and we had to live in barracks. So we lived right in the bunker here.
Okay.
So
were there a lot of you living in here?
Approximately 80 men.
Oh, wow.
So, single, and the married men, they of course, they lived out in the economy.
Yeah. And were you multiple people to a room then?
Two to a room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was the bunker different from your other postings before?
Well, we're all Army people, and Army was fairly strict those days. Here it was much more reasonable, much more, you worked your 8-hour shift and then you're off, sort of. We had the occasional parade here, which was like every day if I'm on a base somewhere. Just much nicer surroundings than an Army base.
So that your shifts were much more reasonable, but did that change since you were living in the bunker and working in the bunker?
Not really, no. It was, we were shift work. And when I first came here, we were shift work, so you did your 8 hours, and then you could either stay in here or you could go out, and you weren't restricted at all. You could come and go as you wanted.
You come and go as you wanted. So what did a typical work day look like for you?
Well, if you did a day shift, you come on work you'd be on work at 8 in the morning, and then you'd be here all day working, lunch and coffee breaks, of course. 4 o'clock you were finished, so you could supper. I think supper, if I remember correctly, used to be around 5:30. So we had to go downstairs. You could they had a ping pong table or a pool table, or I should say shuffleboard, or they used to have a canteen down, so you could have a cold beer if you wanted one, and a soft drink, and have supper. And after supper, we did go outside or go down to the village. Or must remember, most of us were pretty young guys those days. We were all in our early 20s, to early 20s, because the single married men, of course, 4 o'clock they went home. So some of us had cars, some of us didn't. So we'd go into Ottawa, and in those days, Highway 2 was a 2-lane road through Carp. It was the main highway was through Carp, and the closest, I guess, the Bayshore wasn't there. They were just building Bayshore, the apartment buildings in Bayshore. They were just starting building them. And because going ahead a little bit, 1967, I married a local girl here, and our first apartment was in Bayshore. So we lived there for 2 years then. So anyways, getting ahead. So yeah, and then come back whenever you wanted to. Some days we went to Hull, some days we didn't. You might be back by 10 o'clock, you might be back at 3 o'clock in the morning. You never knew.
Wow.
And then go to work the next day. So you worked, I think it was, different shift, usually five shifts. 5 days, and you get a couple of days off, and then 5 evenings, 2 or 3 days off, and then 5 nights, and you get 3 or 4 days off, and start all over again.
Okay. So when you go into Ottawa or over you said the Hall, like, would you go in big groups and what kinds of things?
No, 2 or 3 guys. Yeah. 2 or 3 guys, 2 or 3, whatever, in the car. And like I say, we're all young guys, so you know what that like, so you go party. Yeah.
Good.
And that all changed in 1966 when the 3 forces were amalgamated under Defense Minister Hellier. And then at that time, then we As single people, we got paid a lot less than the married people got. They got a marriage, they call it marriage allowance. Well, they had to. We weren't making much money in those days. So when they all amalgamated, they got rid of all that, and so shortly after that summer of '66, a good buddy of mine here, we had an apartment down on right across from Algonquin College now on Woodruff. Not Woodruff, I'm sorry, on Baseline Road. And Algonquin College was just a little one building school then, and Woodruff Baseline was two lane road. And my wife, my girlfriend at that time was a student nurse at City Hospital. So that changed. But after that, yeah.
Yeah. So you ended up making more money after the
Yes, well, everybody made the same amount of money. Whether you're married or single, it didn't matter. Everybody made the same. Like a corporal made, I don't know, $600, $500 a month in those days. Mind you, a car would be worth $600 by a pretty good car. Gas was 20 cents a gallon. And one nice place about this place too, the meals were all free. I don't know if they explained to you, but one of the concepts of this being a bunker for government was their mandate was to keep enough fresh food to feed 300 people for 10 days. So every week or week and a half, the trucks went with the fresh meat, the fresh bread, all this stuff. The kitchen was open 24 hours a day, and they had to use the fresh food up. We couldn't keep it, so we ate well.
Yeah.
So
the
food, yeah. So if you're on shift, you ate. You want to get your lunch, or your dinner, or your supper, or full course meal at midnight, or not bad. 4 course, 3 o'clock in the morning. That was our dinner if you work a night shift. Yeah, it was a good deal.
Wow. What about holidays and that kind of thing?
Holidays, well, it was strictly Army. You had your 30 days holidays. Okay. Yeah. So that when you signed up, you got that when you signed up, and you got that when I still had 30 days when I got out. So.
Yeah. Were you ever in the bunker over Christmas time?
No.
You're not from around here?
No, I'm from Manitoba originally, but I shouldn't say I was in the bunker over Christmas. I could have been working, but by that time I was only here like one Christmas until 1965. Because 66 we moved in, and then I got married in 67. So, yeah. So the only Christmas I ever missed was in 1984. I spent 6 months alert in Northwest Territories. So I missed that Christmas and New Year's.
Wow. What was the security like for you?
Very strong, very heavy in here. Yeah. You weren't allowed any cameras. There was military police at the, but this is in the early days, isn't it? This is the 60s. Military police at the guardhouse outside, armed. You got there, you picked up your a card where they time-stamped it, time you come in. You inside the main door out here, right in the corner there was a military police set there. You took that card, you put it in a file on the wall here, pick up your card around your neck. You wore the time you're in here, and depending what your security clearance was, depend where you go. Like if you were, we worked in here, I think I was secret when I got here. And so I could go then to any place but the back room where the telltale equipment, where the cipher equipment was. Okay. You couldn't go in there. And then some of them, like the cooks, they only had confidential. They went from here, they went to the kitchen. They got machine guys, they went down the machine when they stayed there. They go to the kitchen back and forth, but they couldn't go wandering through the building. Yeah, it was quite strict. Not so much for the building, actually. I think it was more for the communication stuff that was going through. It was all. So, okay.
Did that change at all over the two periods?
Well, yes, as later on, military police. They had one here till they closed, one or two, and then they used. They used security guards, commissioners at the outside the gate. One of these.
By the end or at the beginning?
At the end.
Okay.
At the beginning was all military. Yeah.
What about the other people who worked at the bunker? What was the atmosphere like at work?
Oh, good. I mean, we were all young guys, and well, some of the older, some of the supervisors were much older, of course, and no, we didn't have any problems here. And great.
Yeah. Did you know everyone else who was working at the bunker?
I knew after a period of time, you get to know most of them. In a sense, because I would go through all the different, because we did telephone systems. in the telephone system of the building. So somebody had a problem, you went to their office and you worked on it. They moved off, so you had to change their tones around and the ideas, and you get to know everybody pretty well, yeah. And then we had our mess outside at the, what's now the community center over there. That was our mess, all ranks mess. So from the major, who was the commanding officer here, right down to the lowest private, everybody went there. So we'd have Friday afternoon happy hours after everything. And they'd have different parties. And, yeah.
Did you host parties for like the community? Or
No, just for the base. Okay. Now we did have community members, civilian community members could become associate members of the mess, which we had a few of them. Somebody lived close by, they could, if you could sponsor them and they could become an associate member.
Yeah. Did you get to know many of them? Like
not at the start, but I did later, because I said I married a local girl and I came back in 1976. So I bought a house right across. Would you want the driveway here to Goldman Lake or come in the morning? You see the houses across at the end of the road? Well, I just live across. I live on that street. So I bought the house in 1976. I should be here for 5 years. So that was 36 years ago. I never left.
I see. What feeling did you get how did the town perceive having the bunker here?
They didn't, when they first built the bunker, they didn't know anything about it. They didn't know what it was for, what it was doing. And you must remember too, this was the early 60s and 65 when I got here. We didn't have 24-hour news. We didn't have, this wasn't, so whatever was word of mouth around, see people come and go. And then they built, and then nobody could get in. Like you had to be authorized to come in here. So local people, they knew something was here. They didn't know really what it was for. And then about in after my second tour, late 70s, they had like what I call a family day. So you could bring your family in, and you tour just the top floor here, sort of thing, and show a bit about that. But that was it. People actually never saw it inside this place. The civilians around never saw this place till 1995 when we opened up for tours for we're trying to raise money to build a local library. And so we thought we'd try to raise tours, and we're so successful it's turned into this today. So.
Wow. So the locals around, did you ever get questions about what sorts of stuff you did?
No, they knew enough not to say too much. We didn't talk about it. You said you worked here. That's all you said. A couple of guys, if they talked too much, they weren't working here. No, they didn't hang around. Didn't keep them.
I don't know if you do, but do you have any stuff that you keep around from any of the times that you worked in the bunker?
Driver stuff? What have I got? I got just a couple of plaques. You get a plaque when you leave the mess from the bunker for them. So I got 3 of them down in my workshop. I keep my bar area down there. I keep them down there. I have several of them because I did quite a few tours of different places. But that's about all I have from here, really. Yeah.
And do you have any favorite stories that you like to tell when people ask you?
Not really. No, not really. It was just a place to work and enjoyable. Yeah, no, nothing outstanding.
Yeah. Okay. This is the second section. What effect do you think that, if any, did the Cold War have on your day-to-day life?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because like I said, we didn't have CNN pumping news at us, CTV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and everything was documented. If you listen to the radio, how many young people listen to the radio? You get make it the news. Who cares? Really, it was just like living like day to day. And the newspaper, might read a newspaper once in a while, but not much.
What was your family's response to your work at the bunker when you first started?
Well, my then fiance, Jess, she knew I worked here. She was quite happy with that, and she just, I don't know if you probably not noticed when you go out the bunker door, out the tunnel, if you look over just to your right about 11 o'clock, or I'm sorry, 1 o'clock, you see a couple of big silos. Well, that was our home. So. Yeah, she got a house here. And we left here in 1967. We left here in 1970, went to Valcarce for 3 years. And we left there in 73 and went to Penald, Alberta for 3 years. And then came back here. So this is home for her and it's home for my kids. They were well raised. Both of them were raised here. So.
And when you first started and you were not married, did your parents know anything about the bunker?
No, no. My mother died when I was 13 years old, and my father was a retired farmer in Manitoba. No, he didn't know anything about the bunker.
And what kinds of things would you tell the people that you knew about your work?
Nothing. No, really, no. Just you didn't discuss it. Wasn't, you know, work in the bunker, and that's basically it.
When you found out that you wouldn't be able to bring any of your family in if the bomb was dropped, how did you feel about that?
Never even thought, to tell you the truth, because it never got that critical. It was never that close. I guess the one time it was close is I wasn't here. I was in Winnipeg at the time. Was 1970. Oh, I'm sorry, 1960. Cuban Missile Crisis, 63. I believe it was 1962 or 63, and they actually closed the place down. They were locked in here for about a week. But that was before I got here, and we did everything like that after.
Yeah. No. You were never in a lockdown situation?
No. They used to have exercises here a couple times a year. They'd be in here like overnight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was it.
What about Kennedy's assassination?
I'm sorry?
What about Kennedy's assassination? Were you here for that?
When was that? 70? I probably could have been. I can't remember exactly what date. I don't remember what date it was. But anyway, if it was between 65 and 70, I was here. Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, it didn't affect us at all.
Yeah. And I mean, you sort of alluded to this already, but did you have any sort of anxiety about a nuclear attack on Canada?
No.
Did anyone you know? Did anyone ever talk about that kind of thing?
No, didn't. No, we didn't, because I know I found out later years, a different job altogether, that I think the NATO knew more than they were telling everybody, that the Russians really didn't have the capability of. There was a lot of what would you call it, bragging or trying to do each other. Well, they didn't have that. And I found out later that any Russian plane flew at all, they knew as soon as they left the ground. So. And that was going back in the 60s, even knew that in the 60s, I guess. So, yeah. But it was a different organization. So.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, well, you said you didn't really listen to the news a whole lot, but are there any significant sort of Cold War news stories that you remember in particular?
Well, the Cuban Missile Crisis, of course. And
where were you when?
I was with the artillery in Winnipeg. Station in Winnipeg. 1963. And we all got called back on leave. I was on leave at the time, got called back for that one for about a week, and then fell down. Other than that, no, not really Cold War stories, no. Nothing comes to my mind.
Mm-hmm. Did you know much about the Soviet Union at the time?
No. No, not really. No, not really. I'll say it again, we'd be, probably your age. A lot of your age, what do you know about, other countries? Not really.
Can you talk a little bit about how you reacted when you heard about the fall of the Berlin Wall, and was that related to any of your memories about this place?
It didn't mean about this place particularly, but yes, I followed that quite closely, just the news and whatnot. It was the end of communism, of course. So I don't know if this place would ever been used. To tell you the truth, I don't know if the government would have actually moved out here, because they all had our offices here, departments here, but I don't know of any. Then a couple of them might come out maybe once every couple of years and stay overnight or stay during the day and come back home at night, because they kept them here. They had to pay them overtime. The same, we had exercise here where all the civilian staff went home at 4 o'clock or after a shift because they didn't want to pay overtime. So the real war, I don't know. I guess we would have paid them overtime. I don't know. So we didn't take it too seriously, no.
No. And just to wrap up, why do you think it is important to remember the Cold War and your experiences?
Well, it's definitely part of our history, for sure, and it's hopefully not to be repeated. And with the technology and stuff we have today, that's more people will know about it. And actually, I guess they're teaching it. And like when I went through school, Cold War was just starting, but it was never mentioned. And I don't. My kids like they're my grandchildren are taking it. They're taking a bit about the Cold War. In grade 7, I believe it is. They do a bit about that. 6 or 7 is what they take some. And I know I've done tours here with school kids. They come through in the spring, and they're doing the history. They're hitting the parts of history on the Cold War, and yeah. So they actually it's in the curriculum now, so that's good.
Good. Anything else you want to?
Not really, no. And, hope I covered all your questions. And, yeah. No, I said we didn't think of the Cold War like it wasn't a worry thing day to day. You worry about those little bombs, and just wasn't done.
Yeah.
So